What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're here for my week 3 preliminary finals tips and predictions. We've only got 3 more games to go, 2 more tipping videos, and a like goal. We want 700 likes. Maybe if we don't get 700 likes, then you guys don't clearly want footy tipping videos for next year. So let's get the likes up for this video. Before we get into anything else, just want to say thanks to the people that were there and wanted me there for the under-14s game. That was one of those punishments I did on the Sunday. I'll talk a bit more about that later in the video, but I will be posting that later in this week. So yeah, looking forward to getting that one out. Filmed a random under-14s local game vlog as part of my tipping punishment for the week. Now, as for going through last week's games, instead of really worrying about the tips, because I don't really lock them in anymore. I've sort of, given up. If you were watching last week, I did tip the Hawks and I also tipped the Lions. So I would have got 2 correct. Actually did all right in terms of the predictions. But just going through the games really quickly. So we had the first game, Adelaide v Hawthorn. Would want to touch up on how disappointing Adelaide have been in this final series, getting the 2 losses, being the first minor premiers to go out in straight sets. It's 1983. So, yeah, pretty concerning from the Crows. The way they played, it was just, not up to finals quality. And Hawthorn certainly deserved the win. They played great, played exciting footy, and they're through, obviously, to the prelim. And then this was a really disappointing game. These semi-finals just were so disappointing. Brisbane v Gold Coast, everything about this game sucked. Gold Coast, I thought were going to turn up. They didn't. And Brisbane probably the deserved winners. Well, they certainly were, and probably will put up a better fight in the other prelim finals. Now, looking at the footy tipping comp, I'm actually not going to include my ranking anymore because it doesn't matter. I'm not even tipping. But let's see who's leading it. And, we've actually got a bit of a tight one here. Scovo with a score of 181. And Jezza DC has got a perfect, which means he gets an extra point, and that bumps him up to 180. So there is a really tight battle there for the top spot, as well as Harry 09, Royal Blue Jones, Doss, Lachlan B, PJRM, Isaiah, Ben Sampis, and Hamish 777, all in the top 10. We obviously would have got a bunch of people getting perfect scores. A couple of people use their jokers, so Duck, Gussie, Gia, Luca, using their jokers late. However, yeah, a number of people all getting a perfect 2 correct tips. We had 202 people all tip a perfect 2 out of 2, so they must have watched my video because they must have copied my tips. Now, from the last video as well, I put up a form and got you guys to submit your footy tips, and if you were closest, you got a chance of being in the video. King Simmer was the closest tipper. He went Hawthorn by 52 and Brisbane by 38, so just closest with the margins. I've at the moment sent him a message, so I'm awaiting a reply. If I get a reply, then I'll put up a little segment of his predictions. If not, well, I guess all of this was a bit of a bust. Now, I know big calls at the moment don't matter, but let's just go through the ones that I predicted for last week, because I was actually quite close with a few of them. Hawthorn Adelaide, I'd say that the Hawthorn Tors would combine for 7+ goals. Jack Gunson kicked 5 goals, so he probably should have carried the tally over the line, but I don't think they managed to get 7, because Chol, I'm not sure if he scored a goal. They combined for 6, so I got that one pretty closely off. And I also said that Soligo and Keys would combine for 3+ goals, and they combined for 2, so I wasn't too far off with that one. And then Brisbane Gold Coast, again, with the 2 big calls. First one was Hugh McCluggage, 30 more disposals, 2 more goals. He did get the 30+. He didn't get the goals, but I also said Rowell and Anderson would combine for less than 50 disposals, and they weren't amazing, were they? They did end up combining for around 49, so if this was a normal round of big calls tipping, I would have actually gotten one of them correct. But there are no punishments to comment down anymore for the rest of the footy tips with 2 more weeks to go. Obviously, I still have a bunch to do, and one of them was filming the under-14s local game vlog, so that'll be out later this week. I went to Bentley v Paran in Cheltenham. Was actually really good. Under 14s SMJFL Div 1 Grand Final. Oh yeah, as well as the Telstra ad, I got to recreate that, and I've got the wig, I got the shirt ready. We will get that filmed at some stage soon. I'm going to recreate the full Telstra whistling ad. Do, 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 do. Also, thought I'd quickly mention, I do have a new email address, so if anyone has any business inquiries, any way wanting to contact me, this is my new email address. I use it for the channel now instead of my own personal one. It's a lot easier. We've got 11 days to go till grand final day. We're still almost 2,000 subscribers away from 58k, but you never know. Miracles can happen, and they start with a subscription, so check if you've subscribed. Over 50% of the viewers are still yet to do so. So come on, do it for a man in a stupid Telstra bloody ad wig. All right, we've got two games to discuss. Starting things off with the first one on Friday night, Geelong and Hawthorn. What a game this is going to be. One of the biggest preliminary finals that I can think of in recent memory. You've got two of the biggest Victorian sides, one of the bigger rivalries, and you think there'll be over 90k in attendance for this game. I mean, if you have a ticket, it's so hard to get a ticket. Why wouldn't you go? Now, luckily, I ended up getting a ticket through the general public sale somehow. I was like 2 minutes in the queue, and probably if I had waited another 1 or 2 minutes, I wouldn't have ended up getting a ticket. So pumped for this one. I'll be there making a video. Now, of course, the Cats heading to this one favourites with the week off. They've got a full bill of health, and they played about as convincing as any side has played probably all year in terms of against the opposition. They played Brisbane and they dismantled them by 38 points. They look great. They didn't pick up any injuries, and now they'll be playing in another prelim. And the Cats have a bit of an issue recently with preliminary finals. They haven't been able to get over the line of them, so you would have thought they'd be learning a lot from last year's loss. When the Cats are on, in my opinion, they're probably the best team in the competition because really they can tear apart any side when they wanted. Hawthorn, though, they'll have heaps of spirit and confidence after their two huge wins against the Giants and now the Crows. Away from home, they're finally back in Melbourne, and they'll have heaps of confidence they can get over the line. They'll have more fans at this game. It'll be probably a bit more of a 50-50 split than some of the other finals we've seen. Even though it's a Geelong home game, it'll feel in a way like a Hawthorn home game because they obviously play their games at the MCG. But then, Cats do play home games against the other Hawks for Easter Monday. So I think that balances out. It just will be whether or not those two games in a row will take a bit of a toll on them without that extra rest. But maybe, because they've got those two wins, the momentum just carries on and that could help them even more. And also because it's against one of their biggest rivals in the Cats, they'll be increased fire in the belly. They're going to put up a strong start. They're not going to, die wondering. So it's going to be a strong start, fierce contest. Last week was also pretty superb from the Hawks, the way they were just so much better with the footy. They moved the ball a lot cleaner and they just look so much more exciting than Adelaide. I know Adelaide were really disappointing and perhaps would have lost to most other finals teams if they played like that, even being at home. But the way Hawthorn dismounted them with that run would make any side nervous. If you're a Geelong fan, you surely would be feeling a bit nervous, heading into this game, being Hawthorn, and given they've come from 8th, there hasn't been a side all in history, I don't think, that's actually made it to a grand final from 8th position. Hawthorn could be the first side to do it because they've just got so much confidence. They're riding that wave of momentum, and the Cats will be feeling that pressure of dropping another prelim final after being probably one of the best sides, if not the best side, for just about the entire season. John Newcomb's another player as well to take note of. His form so far in these final series has been incredible. He's going to win the Gary Ayres medal at this rate if he continues. He's been instrumental. He's a finals bull, and the Hawks would need him to have another massive game for them to get over the line. You could put a question mark on Jack Gunston. How long can he keep his form up? Without Jack Gunston, they still would have won, but he had like 7 or 8 marks inside 50 against the Crows. His finals campaign so far this year, alongside obviously his home and away season, has been nothing short of just awesome. And if he can, bob up another 3 or 4, that can go a long way, because if he has a quiet game and one of the Cats defenders puts a big stop on him, that could be a part of a reason why the Hawks don't get up. So they're going to have to, again, rely on Gunston with all the goals that he's been able to provide. I'm probably going to be backing in the Hawks in terms of what I want to win. I'll be going with a Hawthorn supporter again. And, it would be nice to see a bit of a fairy tale run given that they finished 8th. But I just think the Cats overall, they're a more experienced side. And I just don't think they're going to let a game like this slip against Hawthorn. They normally have the wood over the Hawks in recent memory. They've won their last few. And I could just see this end up being a bit of a blowout. I know we probably want this game to be really close, but I could see the Cats breaking away comfortably, having a quarter or two of dominance, and the Hawks perhaps have worn out. I am going to say the Cats win this game, and we'll go 32 points. As for my little big calls for each team, the first one for Hawthorn, I'm saying Chol will kick 2 or more goals in any quarter. He needs a big finals game if the Hawks want to win. For Geelong, I reckon they'll have a quarter of dominance. Well, that could be the game-winning quarter, perhaps. We're saying the Cats will kick 6 or more goals in any quarter. All right, second preliminary final. Hopefully, if the first one's shit, this one's the one that delivers. Collingwood v Brisbane. I feel like this is the one that's certainly more likely to be close, just with how these two teams have been matching up over the years, especially at the MCG. And, you know, these games normally deliver, especially in finals. The 2023 Grand Final quickly comes to mind. That was a belter of a game. And I just feel like for the Pies, of all the teams that they want to be facing at home for them, I don't think Brisbane's the side. I think Brisbane probably are, of all interstate sides, the side that had the most potential of knocking off anyone at the MCG. The Lions have certainly turned around their form at the MCG over the last few years, but I guess the Cats lost in the qualifying final. They responded really, really well in the Q Clash against Gold Coast, winning it by, with I think 53 points. It probably could have been more. They were almost just playing for fun in that last quarter, sort of messing around with it. Could have kicked a lot more accurately in that last quarter. I thought they, you know, showed a lot more maturity than Gold Coast, and players like McCluggage and Ashcroft just continuing to impress. They were all class. I think Dunkley broke the tackling record as well, so he'll definitely want to bring out that form against Collingwood this week as well. Lohman seems to have returned to his dangerous best. He's got the new hair. He's looking exciting. If they can allow Logan Morris to get off the chain, the Pies, then I think the Pies might be in some trouble and the Lions win. You know, they're going to want to stop someone like him because he had a few moments as well against the Suns, but the last time they played Collingwood and Brisbane, I think he kicked 6. And they were just so disappointing, the Pies, especially their back 6. We will mention, obviously, the Pies coming off the week break, you know, after that win away from home. They'd be full of confidence, you know, back at the G. Against Brisbane, though, they've had a few issues with Brisbane. The last time they played there, the Lions smashed them. You know, they were way too good. Collingwood just couldn't use the ball. They couldn't move it well enough. Their back 6 was shot. And I thought they had a really strong game, their back 6 against the Crows. Especially Darcy Moore played one of his best games, was just intercepting everything for fun. And I think that they might be bringing back Jeremy Howe. Now, don't quote me on this, I'm not too sure, but I've been hearing that he'll be back by around this time. So if he can come back into the team, then that's just going to strengthen their back 6 even more, because he's the one that, you know, sort of leads by example. With him, Darcy Moore in form, it'll just make it simply more difficult for the Lions to score. They're going to have to be a bit smarter with the footy. Jordan De Goey, he was good a couple of weeks ago. He seems to have sort of found his final spark back again. I don't think Bobby Hill's playing. That's going to be a bit of a letdown. Perhaps if they win, he could be, you know, an option for the grand final. But, yeah, they're just going to want to learn their lessons from the last time they played Brisbane. And I think they will, because just with Collingwood, whenever they play in a final series, I think I said this in the last tips video, whatever it was, they are always a different breed in finals, and they always seem to step up to another level and never seem to really have a poor game in finals. I'm not expecting the same Pies outfit that lost all those games against top 8 sides to finish the home and away season. I think we're going to see another version of Collingwood against Adelaide in the finals. They're going to be at their best. Brisbane, after last week, I hope they're back to their best. I hope they don't revert back to that game against the Cats. I do think the Cats are a stronger side than Collingwood anyway. So I think this is just going to be an even matchup. It's going to come down to who's better in the big moments, what stars are going to deliver in the right moments. Is Nick Dacos going to be as big as he has been in previous games? This has the recipe to be an absolute classic, but I genuinely think that I might have to go the Pies just because it's a prelim final. It's a home game for them in front of a big crowd, and it just has the recipe for a possible Collingwood win here, even though I'll be at the game and I'll be supporting Brisbane. I'm going the Pies by 2 points. We'll be seeing a prelim final classic. Nick Dacos will be 35 disposals. That's my big call for Collingwood. And Kyle Lohman to kick 3 or more goals for Brisbane. I think this game will be, you know, a game where both sides might score 90 plus. It's going to be a high scoring one, I reckon. I don't know if they do margins for footy tips, but whatever it is, I am going the Cats and I'm going to go the Pies. Because even though I'm obviously probably wanting to see the Lions and the Hawks win, I just think in terms of the best grand final matchups possible, Geelong and Collingwood probably take the cake. You could say it's boring, you don't want to see that. They've been so good for so long. But you'll guarantee a pretty good game of footy, I reckon, if the Cats play the Pies, because they always play off in close classic games, and that'll be a great grand final. So those are my 2 preliminary final predictions. Stay tuned for the next few days over content. I've got a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, the under-14 final, a couple more bits of content, and then we come prelim final week. I'll be doing a vlog at both games, and then the grand final comes round. Grand final vlog, hopefully doing some cool content. Grand final week, maybe even with a couple of bigger organizations, who knows. But anyways, that'll wrap it up for the prelim week. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you soon in my next video.